Alright, today's lesson is on alternate shapes for your brush tool. So the brush tool, we've been using it to create blocks and then using our vertex tool to manipulate the corners and the edges of those blocks. But the brush tool or block tool can actually make a few different shapes. And it can save you a little bit of time using some of these shapes. And it's very simple to use. So we're going to start out on any map you want. Just pick a corner somewhere where you can work. So I think I'll go over here. Alright, so I'm going to go to my block tool. I'm going to click on the block tool, and then I'm going to go back to the other side of the screen over here where it says category primitives. So primitives are our brushes, the basic shapes that we're using. So normally when we're working in here, when I draw a shape out, it's a rectangle or a square or a block or whatever. But if I come down here where it says objects, and it says block, if you drop that down, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of different options in here. So let's start with a cylinder. Okay, so if I click on cylinder, and then I come in here and I draw out a shape just like I normally would, you'll notice underneath cylinder it says 8. So that's how many sides the cylinder is going to have. So obviously the higher the number, the more round it's going to appear. Now you don't want to put a number like 1,000 in there or something like that, but 8's going to give you an octagon. But if I put in, say, like 32, and then I press enter, now I have a cylinder instead of a block. And I can take that, I can manipulate it, and I can make, grain silo or towers, that kind of thing. Alright, let's go look at another one here. So same thing, block tool. And let's look at the arch. Now the weird thing about these is when you draw them out, they're going to actually draw as like a rectangle. So you're not really going to be viewing the arch initially. But when it creates it in this top-down view, and you have to rotate it or manipulate it into position. So I generally work in a top view when I'm making these brush shapes, and then you can flop over to like the side view to rotate it to a different angle. So watch when we do an arch here, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So I drew out my rectangle shape here. So remember, an arch is going to form inside of here. So when I press enter, I get an arch properties menu. And so the wall width is how thick these segments are. So if I put in like 45 and click off of it, and let's see what else. Number of sides, let's do 24, and let's preview that. Okay, so now see how much thicker these are, and the number of sides is 24. So now let's go wall width, let's do 8, number of sides 6, preview. So now they're really thin, but I've got 6 pieces here. If I click this circle, it'll make me a complete circle, a hollow circle. So if I put in like 24 here, preview, now I've got a hollow circle. If I want less than that, say like 180, preview, there's a half. Start angle would be if I didn't want it to start here. I could plug it in and it would, manipulate the start. The add height, what that does is allows me to create stairs. So let's see, let's do a width of 42, number of sides 24, arc, that's good. So I've got this shape, right? Now watch what happens if I add height. So how tall are our stairs? they are 8, right? So let's do 8. Preview. I'm not going to see any difference here, but I will click OK. There we go. Okay, so look at that. There's some nice stairs. All right, let's do one more arch, because the arch is one that people tend to use a lot. Okay, so again, block tool, arch, we draw a rectangle, I press enter. All right, so let's see, let's not add height to this one. Let's do 0 there. Number of sides, let's do 24. Wall width, let's do 8. Preview, that looks good. I will click OK. All right, so now I've got that shape right there. Now if I wanted to make that into a tunnel, what I would need to do is come into one of these views here and rotate it. And if I wanted to make it longer, it's just like any other brush. I can stretch it. So I can make tunnels, sewers, you know, I don't know, what are those, like military, what are they, Quonset huts, I think is what they're called. But those are your shapes. And if you look over here, if you go to your block tool, we have several different options. We've got spheres, spikes, wedges. You can kind of play around with these and create a sample of each one for today's assignment. So I would like, if you look back in the assignment, I'll have a list of everything that I want you to make for today's assignment for your screenshot. But the arch is probably the one that I see students use the most, because you can create things like tunnels and sewers and subways and spiral staircases and towers, hollow towers and stuff like that. So that's the one I most often see people using. But they're here for you to play with. So that is what we're doing today. We are doing variations on the block tool.